Hi everybody, so welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Mother's Day and it's my very first Mother's Day. It's such strange circumstances that we're celebrating under, and so I thought, seeing that I can't be with my mom and I know that many of you can't be with your moms and some moms are celebrating on their own, I thought, well, why not do a video and talk about motherhood and try to get some communal feelings going. So I'm going to be doing a bit of a Q&A and answering all of your questions that you sent me on Instagram. So let's get straight to it. So the first question I got was, how did you know that you were ready to be a mom? Well, Wesley and I had been talking every year of marriage whether we felt we were ready to be parents. And in the first year, we bought our home, and then after that, we were trying to travel. And I remember us having this conversation about whether I would be pregnant when we would be in Spain, and if I were to be pregnant, what did that mean for how we would hang out? And then I realized that we were trying to plan an international holiday around having a baby, and that just didn't make any sense. And so we just decided, look, let's put a can on it, and we waited another year, and then 2019 came around and we didn't feel that there was anything else pressing that we wanted to do. And so we just decided, look, it was time that we'd like to start trying, and yeah, that was it. But I think my heart was ready. I think that Wesley's heart was ready, and we went for it. And then someone asked me some coping advice with being a new mom during this pandemic. Gosh, I don't even know how I'm coping on some days. I think it's one of the toughest things to go through because there aren't other moms besides new moms that you can talk to who can guide you through this, because we are the first moms to be going through a pandemic. I don't have advice really because everyone's different, but if I were to say anything, I would say just take care of yourself as well as baby, because as moms, we tend to put baby first all of the time, but we're not at our best if we are constantly thinking about house, baby, husband, chores, all of those things, and we neglect ourselves. So I would say perhaps just make some time for yourself so that you can also feel that you are seeing to your interests, even if it's just watching an episode or something that you really like. So yeah, just spending time with yourself and keeping faith. All of us are in this together and we don't know how long this is going to last. And then Luciana Van Beek asked, does SA have a paternity policy, and did Wes get off at work like you? South Africa's paternity policy was actually updated last year. So prior to last year, men would get 3 days paternity leave, and now it's been increased to 10 days. But quite an interesting story. Wesley started a new job the week before Scout was born, so he didn't get any paternity leave. He took 3 days off from work, and that's all that we could manage at that stage. And so once we went into lockdown, it's almost as though he got some paternity leave. I think that dads need as much time off as moms do, because raising a baby is not just about mom and baby. Yes, obviously, I'm breastfeeding and all of those things, and her immediate needs are from me, but there are things that I need and support that I need, and it's from within. And I think it would be great if society encouraged dads to be far more involved, and if the law said, you know what, dads, you are part of your family, stay home, be with them. I don't know what that would do for our economy, but it's a pretty nice idea, right? The next question was your hair routine now that you're a mom. I don't think that my hair routine has changed that much since I'm a mom. The only thing is that I tie my hair up a lot more now because my hair gets in the way. So if I'm trying to pacify her and hold her over here, then obviously all these curls are going to be in her face. So I tie my hair up far more, but I'm still like my wash routine and all of those things have stayed pretty much the same. And I don't let my hair go beyond dirty either. So yeah, it stayed the same. Do you think it's harder to raise a girl compared to a boy? I don't know how to answer this. I don't have a boy, so I can't speak for moms who have boys. Perhaps a mom who is raising both a girl and a boy could have a better approach to this answer. But I do think that in society in general, there are certain expectations of females, certain expectations of males, and there are these gender stereotypes that we sort of conform to. And if you think back to last year with everything that was going on in terms of femicide, etc., I would say that there are a lot of challenges facing women, and these challenges aren't new. They are part of history. So I think that I would need to be conscious about raising my girl with those challenges in mind. But if I were to have a son, I would have to raise him with all of those issues and more in mind too. So I don't think it's easier or more difficult. But like I said, I don't have enough insight on raising a boy to be able to answer entirely. Do you read to Scout? Do I not read to Scout? So we read every single night and sometimes during the day as well. When I see that she's quite busy, we'll sit down with a book and we'll either read fairy tales or Bible stories. And then she's also got these picture books which she gets quite excited about. So we are always reading. I don't know if you all know this, but I'm an English Lit graduate as well as an English teacher. So you can imagine my love for books is almost infinite. And I would love for her to be an avid reader. So yes, we spend loads of time reading to her. The next question was how to develop a routine for a baby. I think I would answer this in a blog post because there are many different methods and different things work for different parents. It also depends on your baby. So the only thing that I can say is that consistency is absolutely key. If you decide on something, you need to stick with it no matter how difficult it gets. Once you and your partner have made a decision that this is how you're going to do it, that's what needs to go. And then at the same time, you need to be so flexible because babies also break routines and they go through leaps and they go through growth spurts, etc. So you have to be consistent yet flexible. So Curly Girl Diaries asked, how's tummy time going and how were you able to ease Scout into it? So Scout didn't ease into tummy time. She was okay for the first week and then she screamed her head off for almost 2 months. And we just had to push through and listen to her screaming. She's eased up now that she's 4 months old and she will do 20 minutes straight in the morning after her morning feed. So that's the best time to get tummy time out of her. Then throughout the day, what we do is we'll see if she'll go down and play, and if she becomes too fussy, then I'll pick her up. And I've noticed that she likes tummy time on my lap. So I will just lay her across my lap and I'll have a little toy and so I'll like play and lift it up, etc. And then she will respond to that for about 5 to 8 minutes and that's fine. Or we'll just lay her, like I'll like hold her and lay her across my arm, and apparently that counts as tummy time as well. So when I'm busy talking to Izzy, etc., I'll just like lay her over my arm and we'll chat, and so she'll get her tummy time in like that. It's a stressful thing. Some babies love it, most babies don't apparently, so good luck. Okay, so Lisa wants to know, did you fall pregnant when you planned to, or did it take longer, and what helped you to get pregnant? So we fell pregnant on our very first try. I know just how blessed we are because of the fact. I think I did a blog post on this, but to answer like shortly, we knew in January already that of 2019 that we wanted to try to conceive that year. And so I basically started taking my prenatal vitamins and started eating properly. And when I say properly, I cut out all processed sugar, only ate whole, unprocessed foods, and I just made sure that I exercised 4 to 5 days a week. And so I prioritized health. And it could be that we've got good fertility, or it could be that some of those things that help. One can never truly say unless you've had challenges and you find out what those challenges are. But I do believe that being healthy and just taking care of myself and having Wizzy take care of himself perhaps helped us on our journey. So Lisa wants to know, when are you starting with solids, 4 or 6 months? So quite interestingly, we started solids 2 days ago on Friday. So the pediatrician said that we should start solids now at 4 months because I've been exclusively breastfeeding and she basically wants to maintain her weight. And so in comparison to formula, breast milk is actually a lot thinner. And Scout is feeding every hour, so that means that she is getting hungry. So we've started solids, and it's quite fun and interesting to watch her face when she tries out, well, the rice cereal for now. So let me know if I should do a post at a later stage on the food that she'd eaten in this time and how it went. So Bronwyn Moolman wants to know, I've always been curious, how involved is Dad? Very involved. I wouldn't get to do half of the things I do or spend half of the little bits of time that I do with myself if it weren't for him. So many of you see me posting about working out in the morning, etc. After I feed her in the morning, he does about a 2-hour stint with her. And then during the day, because he's working from home now, if I need help when he's busy, even if he's busy or not, if I need help with holding her because I need to have lunch or make tea or just hang up washing quickly, or he hangs up the washing most of the time actually. And then in the evening, once we've had dinner, he does bath time with her. So I do the morning bath time and he does the evening bath time. And she loves spending time with him. He knows her. In some ways, he knows her better than I do, and it's amazing to see him be that involved and to see how much he loves her and how much he cares for her. Like when I'm in the kitchen, I will just listen to them, and he will be saying things to her, and she'll be making all these sounds in return, and it's the sweetest thing. So, how involved is he? Very, very involved, and I'm so blessed because of it. So, Janita wants to know, what's one thing no one told you about being a mom that you found out now? I'd have to say that I realized that breastfeeding is nearly the same as being pregnant. The limitations are practically the same. I'm still quite limited when it comes to food. I can't have caffeine. Too much sugar makes her skin bad. And I still can't take any serious medications. I can't use any massage oils that aren't okay for breastfeeding. So the limitations that you have and having to check, can I have this? Can I take that, etc.? Can I eat something? Can I have that cup of coffee? Is nearly the same as being pregnant. Yes, there's a bit of leniency, but it's been the most challenging part for me because it was 38 weeks of sacrificing, and now it's continued for another 4 months, and it will continue for as long as I choose to breastfeed. This is an interesting question. Do you recommend waiting a few years like you and Wes did to have kids? Do you wish you didn't wait as long? I'm happy with how long we waited. We spent a lot of time together as a married couple, and we really enjoyed each other's company, and I feel that in that time we had the space to chase some of our goals and dreams, and both of us were quite comfortable when we had Scout. Do I recommend waiting a few years? I think that that's really subjective. Wes and I didn't live together before we got married, so we needed that time and that space to get to know one another in a lived environment or space, and we didn't feel ready for children. Where there are other couples who get married later, who've been together for longer, who may have lived together. So the circumstances are so different. Some couples want to be parents very early on in their lives and very early on in their marriages, and that's totally their choice. So I would say I don't have a recommended time, but I would suggest that both you and your partner are equally ready and equally excited to have try to have a family, because you both need to be on board for a lot of the changes that happens to your relationship and just to your time and life in general. So Mrs. Vessels wants to know, do you think it's better to buy a travel system or just car seat then a stroller? So we bought a travel system. We have the Nulabug, and it comes with a car seat and the pram. And the reason that we took it is because the pram, the child can sit in it until they are about 5 years old. So it is a travel system. Obviously, the car seat is going to become redundant once she outgrows it, which according to Nula should be around 9 to 11 months. So we will have to buy a booster chair after that for the car. But the travel system that we've bought has got longevity in it. So if you are wanting to save money or not waste your money, then I would say get one that you know you can use for a longer period of time. I love this question. Just wanted to find out how Manny is around Scout. At the moment it is, how is Scout around Manny? So she is so intrigued by him. She just wants to be where he is. She watches him all of the time. And if I take her hand and put it on him to stroke him, she gets so excited. But he doesn't like it. He doesn't understand her yet. So we don't force it, and we watch him. He just wants to know that we love him. And so we make sure that we do that. Also, we give him as much attention as possible, and we make sure that his needs are met. And hopefully that's going to encourage him to feel safe around her and to not feel maybe as though she's stolen us from him. But he's not as interested in her as I thought he would be. Merlin wants to know, how did you decide on Scout? If you've read To Kill a Mockingbird, her name comes from the book. It is Jean-Louise's nickname, and being a literary grad and a book lover, it was just so fitting. Funny story actually is that I was looking for a name from the Bible, and I just couldn't find anything that stuck. And then I wanted to name her Amate, who is Jonah's father in the Bible, and Wesley wasn't too keen on it. And then I turned to literature and we found Scout, and after I'd said it, it just stuck and it was her name. Merlin also wants to know, did you use a waist trainer after giving birth, and does it really help? I had a C-section, so I struggled with the waist trainers and with binding and all of those things. When I wasn't as tender anymore, I was wearing some shapewear. So that's the Spanx from Woolworths. That's where I got mine. And it did help to push some of my stomach back, but I found that I needed to actually train my waist. So I've gone back to exercise and good food, and it's starting to knock off the belly area, which I must be honest stays swollen for quite some time for some women, and my belly hasn't entirely gone down yet, and I'm just being patient and making sure that I take care of myself in terms of exercise and food. So to answer your question, does it really help? I do think that the Spanx that I wore helped a little bit, but I needed to do my bit in terms of exercise and food. So it depends. Every woman's body is different, and everyone's body is going to respond differently to things like waist trainers or diet, etc. So you need to play around and figure out what it is that works for you. Tammy wants to know, did you feed Baby Scout on demand in the first month or according to a scheduled time? I still feed on demand. She's 4 months old, and if she's hungry, I feed her. I found that it keeps her from crying and it helps her to sleep better. So feeding on demand has worked for me. The scheduled feeding, I tried it for about 2 weeks and she was so cranky. So I went back to feeding on demand and we've both been happy since. So Tammy wants to know, how soon after giving birth did you start working out? So I waited the 6 weeks as my OB/GYN recommended, and I wasn't ready to train immediately, so I had to slowly ease myself back into it. But I think I started walking before that. I think we'd put Scout in a pram and taken a walk around the block before that. But once I felt that my body was okay, which was maybe around 8 to 10 weeks, I slowly started working out. And if I'm honest, I was basically like a beginner. I struggled to do a squat. I couldn't run. I couldn't do any of the things that I could even do during my pregnancy. So I had to be very gentle on my body and take it very slowly, even if it meant that a workout only lasted 10 minutes. And by being gentle and going slowly, I think that it's allowed me to pick up the pace quite quickly. And now I'm basically training quite close to what I did before my pregnancy, and I'm 4 months postpartum. Landy Lee Butler wants to know, which breast pump do you use and do you find pumping comfortable? So I use the Madela one. It's the electrical breast pump. I got it at Baby City. And the nice thing about it is that it's also battery operated, so you could express while you're out. Do I find pumping comfortable? It's okay. I guess it's okay. I only express milk in the morning. I don't express to feed. I'm expressing to store for when I go back to work. So that's the only reason I express milk. I don't necessarily like it, but I don't dislike it either. But I think that if in the beginning, when I was a new mom and my breasts were still quite tender, when I tried expressing milk, it was very sore and really uncomfortable. But now that I've gotten used to breastfeeding, it's actually a lot easier. I've got a question here. What advice do you have to moms who are pregnant during COVID? I'm not pregnant during COVID, and my heart goes out to moms who need their families or their friends or just the support and the happiness and the cheer around being pregnant. So I don't have advice for moms who are pregnant, only to talk to your family, talk to your friends, talk to the people around you, and maybe talk to other moms who are going through a pandemic pregnancy. I think that's the best thing to do, to speak to moms who are sharing a similar experience to you. The next question is, what do you think is the biggest misconception of mommy life in society? Possibly that everyone's motherhood is the same, and that's not true. Each journey is unique and each baby is different. So to place all of us in the same box is just ridiculous. So I'd say the biggest misconception is that if it worked for one mom, it will work for everyone, and that's absolutely not true. Monica wants to know, what is my favorite time of the day with my daughter? I would have to say there are two parts of the day that I really love. That's whenever she wakes up from a nap. She's got this biggest, toothless, gummy smile, and oh, it's so precious. So spending those few moments after she's woken up. And then I would say reading to her in the evening, because when we read to her, Wesley and I also spend time in God's Word, and that's just a really precious and special time for us. So that time of just building faith with her or at least just exposing faith to her, is very important to us. And then can I add a third one? My third one is breastfeeding. I love connecting with my baby in that way. I'm going to be so sad when she no longer wants to feed, and it's just such. Whenever she's hungry, I'm okay with it because it's just a really close time to bond with her. And then Tammy Carford, a new mommy, wants to know, how did you manage when your milk first came through, and did you have an express routine? Okay, so when my milk first came in, I was really unprepared for it. I didn't understand that my breasts were going to be that engorged. I think I had the shivers the one night because I wasn't prepared for it, and it was quite overwhelming, if I'm honest. Nobody told me about it, so yeah, the word is overwhelming. So like how I managed it was, I started reading quite a bit, and I realized that I needed to be feeding off both breasts per feed so that the one doesn't become too engorged. And eventually what I did was I went to a lactation class. I will see to put the name of the lactation specialist in the text box below. But I went to a class on lactation, and it was really a good idea because I not only learned a couple of things that I could do, but I realized what other moms are going through, and that all of our experiences as breastfeeding moms was actually quite different. And then, did I have an express routine? In the beginning, I tried expressing, and it was just far too painful, and it just made my breasts far too full. So I had an oversupply, and that was very difficult in the beginning. And I decided not to express until my milk levels settled. And you know that your milk has settled when you no longer feel that engorgement. A friend shared that with me. So you'll have enough to feed if you have enough to feed, but you won't feel so full all of the time. And once that had happened, I let that settle for another 3-4 weeks, and then I decided to start expressing for storage. And even now I'm too nervous to cause engorgement again, so I take my time and I only express once in the morning. Some days I will do both breasts, but most days I just rotate. So one morning the left, the next morning the right, and I'll use those 2 sessions to fill one bag. So very awkwardly, my camera stopped recording yesterday. We clearly shot far too much content. So yeah, I recorded this video ahead of time, but I managed to get through all of the questions. So thank you to everybody who sent them through, and to everyone who took the time to watch this video. And if you're watching it on Mother's Day, then happy Mother's Day to you and yours. And if you like this video, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm so awkward. Anyway, thanks guys.